Hello and good evening for this Wednesday, April 5th, 2023. Happy First Contact Day to the Star Trek fans, of course, too. I'm Dave Mader here on Super Mader Brothers Podcasting, joined with Jaemeel Robinson and Josh Foster to break down episode 6 of Survivor 44. Survivor with a capital S, it was titled. Here on our channel, streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and on Twitch, or you might be listening to us on the audio version. And guys, we are at the merge. We've crossed the threshold, and now all of our Survivor castaways are all on one beach together. And we see the first, well, I guess the last non-juror got voted out in this one. It ends up being one of mine, Josh, not Josh Foster, but rather Josh Wilder, who got voted out in this episode. Although Jam got some votes and Kane got at least one vote, I think. Yeah. So we're gonna break all that down and talk about sort of what how we see this end game shaping up here now that all of these castaways and these three distinct tribes have come together here. So let's go to you, Jaemeel, first. How are you tonight, and what did you think of the episode?
Oh, well, I'm doing pretty well. This was a pretty. It seemed like a pretty, so-so tribal. Like, I assumed that the next episode is going to be good because if it wasn't, they could have just combined two episodes together. It was that type of episode of Survivor, right? Where you could just cut down, you put a little snippets and you just do two tribals in one episode. It was that type of thing.
Right. Josh Foster, that is, not Wilder. Josh, how did you feel about the episode tonight and this result here with losing a fellow Josh?
Well, first of all, we have no connection, so I have no ill will to him being voted out tonight. But in terms of the concept of the episode, like just like the pre-merge, if you will, I did like it. In the sense that it was a two-team setup, right? It breaks it down from 12 to 6. They have the feast where it's like the new majority or whatever, right? Like as you call it, because they're safe for discussion. And then like it just seemed like it was. I liked the way that it was. It brought everything out, right? And then you get Carson spilling it in the end, right? You know what I mean? Like it's kind of funny because like at one point I was sweating because I'm like, oh geez, Kane's on the hot seat. What did he do? Oh no. And then next thing you know, it's like, well, no, I will go back to my original pick, which was, after the loss, it was Josh from that team. So no, it was a good episode.
Yeah, well, I think everyone, especially like the people who knew Josh from Soka, as well as the people who knew him from Tika, were like, whatever, get rid of this guy. And then the people from Ratu were like, we don't know Josh. Sure, you want to get rid of him? That's fine with us. Although there was a lot of paranoia around idols. Who has idols? Who has this? We don't want people to know they're in danger. There's always that shot in the dark that freaks people out. And there was just a lot of like sort of trying to hedge bets, I guess, a lot by the majority here in this episode. Jaemeel, this was a little bit different than the last couple seasons that we've seen with smashing the hourglass and changing the course of history, which of course I have to go get now.
I know. We need to hear that clip.
We do. Yeah, because that's the way they had done it in the previous two seasons, where they did this thing with the merge. They create the two teams. The winning team gets protection, and the losing team is vulnerable. But then in the previous two seasons, they had a chance to flip that so that the losing team could then have the power and whatever. And of course, here Erica started it all off.
I smashed the hourglass and I changed the course of history.
Of course you did. So.
Garbage.
So they didn't do that. They didn't do that this time. So were you good with that, or were you?
I was very good with that. Like, sure, it makes it adds an element to the episode, but at the same time, it's kind of garbage to begin with. I don't really want it, right? The drama should be from the competition and from the players, not from unnecessary, twists that just, add 5 more minutes to the episode. That's unnecessary. We want more time. People,
And if you remember, Danny was in that season was very angry about winning the challenge, getting protection, and then it was stripped away from him. He was super pissed off about it.
We competed, and there was a winner, there was a loser, and the prize was what?
Feast and immunity.
Okay, I was just asking.
Yeah. So, so they didn't do that this time. Apparently, Danny in that season got really mad at Jeff Probst in the tribal. It wasn't in the actual final edit, of course, but
you should have left it.
I wish like Jeff getting chewed out by an NFL player. Why not? Let's see it. But let's go back to the beginning of the episode, guys, and talk about kind of where we start. We start off on day 12. This episode will end at the end of day 13. So there's only about maybe not even quite 48 hours that take place in the course of this one episode. On Tika, we see, of course, there's more of this ongoing feud here with Jam and Josh. With Carolyn, of course, not a big fan of Josh either. And they were all disappointed they didn't get him out last week because Matthew quit due to injuries. So that was kind of continuing. Like they're getting ready here to like living as just 3 people on this beach. Yeah. But ultimately they get the tree mail like the other 3 tribes will get it in this episode, telling them, drop your buffs, come to this beach, but it's worded in a way which Carson picks up on Ratu to say like you're not merged yet. So which if you had watched the previous seasons, you would kind of know that that's been the trend they've been going for. That you're going to be brought together, but you won't. But not all of you are jurors. One of you will not be. It ends up being Josh. Is the one guy who's not a juror from this.
So Matt leaving is a good thing because there's no way in hell Matt would have been able to make it up that wall in the challenge. No way with his arm.
Do you think that they were thinking about that when they, maybe were pushing? Do you think they pushed him to quit potentially?
Maybe, but I'm happy for either team because they would have lost. Because like literally would have had to stop the thing because he would have been in so much pain. Supporting his body weight, via ropes like this. From that height, no way his arm's going to be able to manage that properly.
Right. And so you were wondering why couldn't they have the tribal even though Matt quit? I think it's because they already had this challenge lined up that they wanted there to be 6 people on each side. And that's ultimately why they didn't vote somebody else out last week as well to give us 11 here. What was going on in Soka? Okay, we got they got their tree mail. There was this was a little later in the episode, but Franny and Matt and all their showmans is going on, of course. Nobody knows. Nobody on Soka is gonna figure this out, guys. Like that they're a thing. Like they gotta stop hanging out together. Really.
It's gonna be it's pretty evident. But he's such a goof. It's
Matt?
Matt is such a goof.
Oh yeah, he's such a goof. Yeah. Goober with a capital G, I would say. Back on Tika, they were getting ready to go. Ratu. I don't know. Most of this was kind of whatever. There was a couple like confessionals here and there about it's all gonna be a new beach, but I thought most of this was kind of unexciting in some of this stuff. I don't know if you guys felt the same way, but
Carson's overcomplicating it. Like he's thinking like 3-4 extra steps that don't need to happen. You know what I mean? Like he's really overthinking his position. And I think also today with the when we talk about the challenge, he shown when he was shown what is he.
Well, yeah, he really showed off how good he was at that puzzle. That will come in the and and then we saw the clip where he cut away. I've been practicing this puzzle at home for years. I was like, if Jeff was here, he would hate this.
I hate it on behalf of Jeff. I was like, wait, are you telling me the Survivor producers didn't like change the puzzle at all?
Are you telling me that they filmed you in advance? I got B-roll of you completed this puzzle already. Like, how would you guys get new puzzles? How would you get your puzzle makers to make you things that they haven't done before?
Yeah. This is the new Price is Right incident. Did you guys ever hear about that one? when they never changed the games for like 25 years or whatever it was, and someone learned all the prices.
Yes.
So they went on and it was like a Netflix kind of documentary, right? So
Drew Carey was very upset.
well, especially when Jeff Probst has this much control, it's like, why doesn't he say something, right? Like if he thinks, like, why does it have to be the same brand, right? Like, shouldn't he want the competitors to come on and they can be prepared to an extent, right? But like train their minds or train their bodies, but it should also be like the sequence of events in the challenge or the single event of endurance or whatever should be something that cannot be practiced at home. There should be an added element to it that is a surprise.
Yeah, I think you should have like a sense of what kind of general types of things you'll be doing, you know,
like a slide puzzle. Like the puzzle could be different, right? But the strategy remains the same, right? The strategy of doing this should remain the same, but it shouldn't be the exact same puzzle.
Right.
Exactly.
That you just did 2 seasons ago, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
I agree, guys. Like, and I think that because there's been a whole generation here of people who have grown up watching this, like from like maybe since they were like toddlers, like this show has been out for 20 years. This is the 44th season, like people are going to study it, and get on here. And this is where I'm like, Carolyn is such like a great one to watch because she has none of that. She's not like coming in. She's coming in here almost like fresh and kind of like without these preconceptions, without these like notions. You even see it here in this merge vote. She's like, why don't we just vote out Josh? Everyone's worried about who has idols, who's going to do this, who's going to do that. I'm like, how about you just like, because they can't stand for a second that they could go home on some kind of random weird vote. Whatever. Like you might, you can't like, there's just like this strong desire by the majority to like control things. You see this in Big Brother too. And I'm like, I guess it's just people at the end of the day by nature. Most people are not gamblers by nature. I think most people just want to play it safe or to kind of like have all their bases covered. I'm like, at the end of the day, you're going to to win this. You're going to have to take risks.
Yeah,
you're going to have
there's a little bit of luck involved. As
a little bit of luck.
Danny,
I think Danny says that in the episode. Yeah. We also got like some talk about who has idols, who has fake idols. There's a lot of that going on. Some people don't even know they have fake idols, like
Matt.
Jamie Lynn, right?
And Matt has a fake idol too.
Matt B.
What? The Matt that doesn't suck. That didn't.
Matt that didn't quit.
Yes, the Matt that didn't quit.
Franny's Matt.
Franny's Matt. Right, but we know that there's some of those hanging out there. I guess they all came to live on Ratu's Beach. That's ultimately where,
which makes sense because there's no one going to Tika, that rat beach.
Yeah, that's like the rat beach. Like no one goes there. Yeah, so I don't know. This was all fine, I guess. Like,
do you think they picked the merge beach ahead of time, or do you think they do it based on like they do Jaemeel?
Everyone knows who has the better beach, so it's ahead of time.
Okay.
Right. Especially if you're one of these three people that swap tribes, you would have a perspective to that, right?
Yeah.
And I think Josh in particular was like, I hate this beach. We have to leave this beach. Not just because I have to live here with Jam and Caroline, but just because I don't like this beach. Because
there was no one on their tribe to actually build a proper shelter.
No, yeah, it doesn't look like they ever really had one,
yeah.
And they were there for 2 weeks, guys. So it was something else. Yeah, Josh, this man, so clueless. Never really got into it.
Why did he never? I didn't understand. Why didn't he connect with Danny and Brandon? He heard Carolyn.
He heard Carolyn talk about that. Yeah.
And maybe he did. But like we never see him connect with those two.
We see him a little bit with Brandon. It seemed like Josh and Brandon were kind of talking here and there, but definitely not Danny. Danny and Josh are never seen speaking in the episode together at all.
I guess he got wind of people feeling to go in Josh's direction, and he's like, "Well, we're not going down that route."
Yeah, right. And ultimately, it will come down here between Josh, Jam, and Kane is the other person who seems to be at the bottom at the moment. Or is at least expendable, and there was a lot of talk about who had fake idols, a lot of paranoia going around. In particular, Franny was driving me nuts with all this. You know, because she's trying to do like survivor calculus in her head or something about, you know, how to go. I'm like, ultimately they're gonna do what they did anyway in the episode, which was like put some votes on Josh, put so many votes on Jam just in case, and then they put one vote on Kane too. And it's almost like that's not even enough for them. It's like then, but they're like, but what happens if then all three of them have idols, and then there's a shot in the dark in the mix? Then you're screwed, and like you can't like worry.
you're
They
free
deserve
and
to go home.
you have idol get in and you're screwed, right? That's how it goes.
But like, I guess the players who obsess over this, I'm like, can you just get over
Play the game.
yourselves, please, and just play?
You can't micromanage the game. You can do your best to figure out exactly where, you know, all the different pieces are, but you still have to play the game, right? You like the time that you're spending worrying about things, have a conversation with Josh, suss him out, right? Get a feeling about as to have a conversation with Carolyn and Yam Yam. They would flat out say Josh's idol is straight up fake. It was falling.
Well, that's what Carolyn was trying to do at like the merge feast, right? Or not the reward. It was at the reward where Karen's like, listen, he has a fake idol, and he showed us, and it fell apart in his hand, and they're like, well, maybe, but we don't. That's just we just can't trust that. And like I'm with you, Carol. And like these guys are like just like they can't try. I guess like you shouldn't trust everything because we know that there's all these like misdirects and fake idols and different things that like Survivor does. But at the other hand, you can definitely overthink this.
No, it could easily be verified, right? Easily be verified. Hey, the people who went to the island with Josh, did they give you one idol or two? One. There you go. He played one of his idols, and that's how he was safe the first time. He doesn't have another idol. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Like,
well, that's how definitely Carolyn was looking at it. But they just, I guess, because they just met, they don't trust it. They just can't. They're not willing to put their chance at $1 million on the line. I can respect it to an extent, but as, from an entertainment point of view, I don't find it engaging. I'd rather that the players just play instead of trying to have contingency plans for contingency plans. You know, that's just kind of boring to me. Yeah. Carolyn was definitely, as Jam points out, she was at level 1. She was not at Carolyn level 10 as we've seen her. She was kind of on her best behavior. She kind of talked about in her confessionals about how this was like day 1 over again. Like she's just trying to get a feel for it. She's not as good with like the hello, you're a stranger, you're my best friend now. That's just
let me tell you everything personal about myself.
Right. You know, she was just that's not. Her style. She would rather be more authentic and get to know you and have sort of a more organic connection, perhaps.
Are folks like following her on social media? Because she is a straight up trip.
A little bit. I've watched like I think there was like an Instagram video where she was showing
where she talks about her tattoos.
Oh, where she was doing like it was like she was watching the episode where she was doing the catapult and she was like doing it in the gym or something.
Yeah, and then her friends are like, "What's that bean bag? What's that you have in your hand? It's toilet paper. It's supposed to simulate the bean bag."
Right.
She has a tattoo on her inside of her lip.
Does she?
Like she's Wakandan or something.
She's from Wakanda? Oh wow.
I was like, wait, what?
Okay, I guess one of the funniest moments in the episode for me was when she was like talking about going to the grocery store in Colorado or asking for a bag. Can I have a bag? And they're like, a what? A bag? And then like Jam, whose first language is not English, again is like, you mean a bag? You know, that was hilarious. I was like, where's Carolyn from? Minnesota, I guess, is at least where she lives now. I guess that's where her accent originates from.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah.
I just know too many people just pronounce things. Yes, Sam says Carolyn 10 out of 10 casting. Yes, more real people, less people more concerned about like, oh, you know, I'm this pretty package. Like she's a raw individual.
Yeah, if we had like 16 Carolyns, I would be very happy here.
I don't think 16 Carolyns. I think you need to get a healthy mix just so that she stands out more. Like she stands out so much better against a Carson,
Right.
Right? She just seems so real, and Carson, obviously, is kind of prepackaged.
Yes. Well, Carson.
Carolyn, like someone asked Carolyn, "What was your fitness routine coming on Survivor?" She's like, "Well, I ate some donuts probably before it came." She already takes care of herself. She's not gonna do anything like I gained 40 pounds of muscle like Carson did.
No, she's not. That's not her way.
Yeah, just had that ready.
Had that ready.
Same thing with Jam Jam. Like he didn't hit the gym before coming here.
No, and he didn't study puzzles or anything like that. He's just here. He's more here for the experience more than anything else.
Yeah.
Soaking it in. Like some of these players who are like they feel like professional Survivor players almost. They've been training their whole lives for this. They're like in the Hunger Games. Foster. They're like those from District 1 and 2.
If they added the Hunger Games element to this, oh my goodness,
people died
where they can actually kill each other.
The ratings would kill, literally.
Well, they would definitely kill. Yeah. This was the scene here where we saw that Carolyn kind of reconnected with Carson, an unlikely duo. I know they have the Tika connection, but
if you're Carson, you need that wall. Like she's the perfect wall card because who's going to be paying attention to you when Carolyn's like,
when she's doing.
She's the perfect person. It's like, where's Carolyn? She's in the jungle doing something. I don't know. And it's like, I wonder if she's going for an idol. And they run off to look for her. And you're like, perfect, right? Like that's like it's a perfect type of relationship. And then plus she trusts him. He's in a great spot.
Yeah, no, it is. I'm not unhappy because I have Carson in the draft, and I think that them working together could be a good thing, especially since I lost Josh tonight in the draft too. So I have to pin all my hopes on Carson to win this season for me. If
you got a stay of execution from last episode,
I know I got to say I was like, oh great, maybe I'll get both my picks into the merge. I kind of got that, but not both into the jury. So yeah. But we see here like the Tika, like the original purple people, they say that they're going to work together. They're going to be the Three Stooges guys going forward. We'll see. We know that there's kind of there's some broken trust here between Jam Jam and Carolyn that I don't know it will ever truly be repaired. By the end of this game, but it might be necessity too.
True. And plus, it's been a while since they voted together on the same page, so. Tonight would have done great for them in the grand scheme of things.
Right. This whole stuff.
No, you don't want to play that. Come on.
Friggin' Franny and Matt.
People must hear this.
What does he say? If I win immunity, I'm not going to take you because I don't want people to
reward
know
challenge
that we're a thing. And oh my god, this guy, he seems nice, like a nice guy and everything, but
you would like him if you met him in person.
I think I would like
more
him in
so
real
than
life.
A lot of the other people. Carson would get on your nerves, dude. You're
right. I would probably enjoy Matt B's company, maybe more so than Carson in real life. But
you would roll your eyes every time Matt says something dumb, right? And you're just like, oh, Matt, right? Like that's Matt, whereas Carson would be like correcting. Carson seems like the person who corrects people, who say schedule instead of schedule. That's the type of person Carson.
Perhaps I think I could live with that, but I think the person who would actually get on my nerves is actually probably either Brandon or Danny are probably the ones I would not get along with the most. But these two, this like we saw it in the preview for next week that I think who was it from Ratu? It was Lauren, I guess. Lauren was like, she's like, we have to break up this showmance. We have to break up this love. We can't let this go. We can't let this duo go.
Remember last time someone said that and then they got the boot home.
Yeah, like it does seem to work like that sometimes, where whoever is trying to get out the showmans ends up getting themselves out in the process. It's almost like once you say a name, then you will be the name now because you were the one who said it first. And that's kind of what happened here, almost to Jam and to Josh, because they were both gunning for each other. So they're just like, great, you two are going for each other, then we know you'll vote for each other. And then that's at least
if they kept their mouth shut, who would have been the target?
I think it still would have been Josh, but I think Jam made himself a target.
Definitely.
Definitely.
We were talking all about Kane. Was that real or not?
That was real, but I think it was just because Brandon threw it out because Kane wrote down Brandon's name like a million years ago.
The first vote.
Yeah,
it's like that's Kyle Petty's No Fear Racing. So petty,
right? This sweater too.
Dude, I'm watching this episode like Dave's gonna hate that sweater.
Like it's just like it's not even practical for the jungle. Like so
it's like, oh, I forgot my practical jungle sweater at home.
No, it's not. You don't bring this with you. Like it
keeps them warm.
Oh boy, get a hoodie. Come on, So anyway, more of these two. This went on for way too long. Okay, let's get to the challenge. Where we get the two teams, a purple and orange. Foster, you are our official challenge correspondent. Yes. How did you feel about this challenge?
Well, let's start with the draw, shall we? Like it's
sure.
It's I on paper right away. First thing I thought and wrote down was purple looked better. I'm also happy that they just did the rock pull because that would have been a lot more like just get it done, like figure it out, right? So, but anyways, so that was good.
They did the rock pull a little bit. As the last two seasons they've done this, there's been an odd number of people. And so somebody got left out of a team and then whoever that person was, got to go with the winning six or team or whatever, but then lost that immunity actually once the hourglass was smashed or whatever. This was just way more straightforward and simple, and I was fine with it. And yeah, they did the challenge. We saw here they had to dig this big boulder out of the ground and then push it over these fairly difficult obstacles, I thought, and then climb up that wall at the end. So it wasn't a very long course, but it was not an easy thing to do at all.
I say make it difficult. That's good.
Exactly, and it looked like go back to those big balls. Those were some big balls they were playing with.
They were the big balls. They were big balls.
Thank you. And they were also they didn't look as heavy as they were. Right. Once they got it out of the ground and they were getting over that first obstacle, it was like looks a lot harder than it seemed, right? Because also there's nowhere to place your hands, right? It's gonna be I don't know how slippery it is, I don't know how coarse it is, but there was no way to leverage it. Like Danny pretty much bends his back to get underneath it, right, to lift it. And like Brandon has to lead the charge for the other team, right? So it did not look like an easy task at all. And then obviously they've got they got to stand on top of the balls, which is fine and everything, right? Like they kind of blocked them in, so they kind of made it easier for them.
Carolyn almost gets run over twice.
Yeah. Yeah.
You didn't get a you gotta dig deep though. I was very disappointed.
You gotta dig deep. Well, just for you, Jaemeel, I will give you one.
You gotta dig deep.
Deep. Yeah,
but no. Then we come to the wall. How do you guys feel? I love the wall. How do you guys feel about the wall?
Skipping ahead to the wall.
They have the net there. The wall wasn't impossible, so I'm totally fine with the wall. I found it was the perfect height, and they had the net there. Everyone should have been able to at least do it, even with help.
Watch Franny do it. Franny did it like with nothing. Boom. Right?
She's right up there.
But like for Jamie Lynn, this was very difficult.
Yeah, there was no way. They would have had to lower it by probably 3 feet for everyone to at least get a shot at doing it without the net.
It helps if you're tall for this,
Oh, absolutely.
And if you're
like it
already
was also interesting, like how everyone just went one at a time pretty much, and they were just pulling you up on purple. But then orange, like they had the buddy system, right, where they had two guys on the mesh or on the ladder, sorry, and they're helping people come up.
Right. Yeah, we see here like they were doing more of a team effort to get up, and they actually get all their team members over this wall first, before purple does, even though purple will go on to win the challenge. But that's because they got this ace in the hole in Carson, who just can easily defeat this challenge. But yeah, but it was it mostly fell to Brandon to try to help get Jaemeel over, although it was a real team effort. Like I think on orange, I guess Jam was the one that had the hardest time on that team, but he got over before Jaemeel, and then Jaemeel like crying after the challenge, and like I could have done without that. Like you know, because I am, because like you know what, you don't need to feel that bad, Jamie. You were the one, you like right before they got to the wall, they had to do the knots. And Jaemeel killed the knots. She was amazing at the knots, right? So it's okay. You are good at different things. You weren't good at this particular thing. You don't need to feel like you need to live up to the other 5 people. Like it's or to make a big sad story about yourself. You know, it's not necessary in my opinion. You know, if you're feeling like, oh, I'm not as good at the wall, whatever. You're good at different things, Jaemeel. Don't let anyone else tell you otherwise. You know, and they did get her over, you know, this was not insurmountable. And then they finally did get over it. So even though orange was over by at least maybe a couple minutes ahead of purple in this challenge,
I have to question, like, what were you trying to do with this puzzle?
Who is this on orange? It was Lauren and I don't know who the other person is.
Lauren and I don't know.
There's only 12 people. You think I know who they are? But ultimately, this all became the Carson show on the purple tree, because it was like so the winning team here of Carson, Matt B, Franny, Carolyn, Jaemeel, and Brandon.
What was hilarious is seeing Carson easily put the right pieces in, and then you just see Matt. He's like, "This is wrong."
Matt was like his assistant, but like a really bad assistant, you know. And Carson was just ripping through this. Like it was not even close. They couldn't even like copy his work and catch up to him. As they were just running away with it here. Jeff was so impressed. As they got the immunity.
Okay. He did not hide.
No.
He's like, everyone get their buffs. Carson, here's blah blah blah. It's all you. I think he said something along those lines.
Yeah,
like this is for you.
Oh, and just Jaemeel, I'm not good at walls. Okay, yeah,
that's the wall, brother.
That's the wall.
Yeah, and yeah,
and we get here's the shot of Carson doing the puzzle at home. I guess they shot this before the season.
He shot it.
He shot this. Video. This is part of his audition video.
Probably.
You know, I guess maybe he 3D printed this or whatever.
Yeah, he said he 3D printed it.
Well, I guess I can't fault him for being prepared, but I can only fault the producers for creating a puzzle that's not that the contestants are possibly going to know. We already saw that Matt, the other Matt, the Matt who does suck. He was practicing that other challenge, right? When he had a dislocated shoulder, he was able to win this entire challenge because he had practiced it so many times.
Yeah,
you know. So I wish that wasn't the case. I don't think that's exciting. Guys, SurvivorCasting.com, CBS SurvivorCasting.com.
There's barely an advertisement for it. Is like, he's like, come for our views.
I'm like, well, Fiji looks nice. Is that what I'll come? But yeah, I'm thinking about throwing my hat in the ring for it. But you know, I know it's a lot of competition to get on this. So.
We remember we have to get first dibs at interview. Don't go running.
I would give you guys first exit interview.
Don't run to Rob and Taryn.
No.
Or your global contract might stipulate that you have to go to them first.
Might actually. Depends. This is okay, and then we come back after the challenge, the losing six, which in particular there was three of them: Jam, Kane, and Danny, who are like, and Danny, I think in particular is like, I'm just gonna wait with what the winning six want to do.
I'm like, gee, bus, man.
I'm like,
That means he doesn't want to work with you, Jam. That's
Jam wants Josh. Josh is throwing around Jam's name. Josh and Jam were on the same team on this as well, so they were both vulnerable, as was Kane. And I guess what's her name again? Heidi. And I'm trying to remember who else was. Oh, and Lauren, I guess, was also vulnerable here. So
I'm surprised by this.
Jody for Survivor 45.
Jody's like
Survivor.
The second coming of Randy from Gabon. Just hates everyone on the
Jody on Survivor would be interesting, guys. But
you have to censor a lot.
You'd have to censor it a lot. Yeah. The feast, which was a charcuterie of sorts. Do
you like rewards like this?
Not really. Like
it didn't look that rewardy.
Yeah,
like it could have been a lot. It could have been like a steak.
Peanut butter sandwiches are like, at least you get the sweet and you get the protein as well.
Like no or whatever. But yeah, it was mostly just kind of like it was more of like a lunch or something like that. They had some booze, they had some beers that looked like, and some wine, and some. So I'm sure they were happy about that. I think that's orange juice that they also have. So I think they could get some of that kind of stuff. But
this is Carolyn's vegetarian, I believe, but only when she's non-survivor, as she mentioned before.
Oh, so she'll eat meat out. She'll eat meat on these rewards.
She said last episode is like, I'm a vegetarian, but not on Survivor.
We're not on Survivor.
Yeah, well, yeah. When I'm starving and it's in front of me, I'm going to eat it.
Yeah,
something along those lines.
And this is where she was getting frustrated with them because she's trying to explain that Josh's idol that he claims to have is definitely fake, but they don't want to believe it, or they don't want to at least risk it. Brandon talked about how he didn't trust Kane, and he wrote his name down once, and that would be something else out there. So like they were, I guess, because they have immunity for this first tribal. They all know that they're in the merge and the jury phase. So I guess that this only makes sense that they're going to call the shots, but they're only half the votes. They're only 6 votes of the 12 ultimately here. Just because they can't be voted for doesn't mean they have all the power. But that seems to be always the way it is, Jaemeel. That seems to be always the dynamics that we see play out in these merges. So
yeah.
Like Carolyn, just getting annoyed. She's just biding her time, Carolyn, waiting to strike, So for her. Commercials. Woo. Okay. And coming back. Saw that the losing 6 were all huddled under the shelter, where I guess the other winning 6 had to go into a cave.
Yeah. Well, I think they switched out because they want to talk to people. Why continue talking to the same people? You already pretty much like exhausted the different combinations probably before the rain happened.
Yeah. Here we see Franny goes to talk to Josh, and she tells Josh it's all about Kane. We're going after Kane. And Josh believes this, even though Franny's really just trying to
believe anything he wants to believe. He's in fairy tale land. Like he didn't think he thought Soka was on his side. He thought that, like his idols and fake idols and everything was like his master plan, and it was going to get him to you barely survive.
I like this screen frame. Does that feel okay, Josh? Yeah. You want Yam? But I feel like if Jam and Josh could have found a way to work together, they could have been a powerful duo. But I don't think Josh was ever. Because we see here, they have this conversation where Josh tries to say, like, let's band together. Let's get out Kane, and then Jam in confessional's like, I don't want to get out Kane. I like Kane. I don't like you,
Which makes sense because if you're Jam, right, you see exactly right through what Josh is trying to do. He just wants Jam to stop saying his name, right, so that he can, focus his energy on redirecting everything as opposed to fighting for his own life. And Jam Jam's great. He's like,
So you haven't spoken to me for the last part of 2 days since we got to this beach, but now you want to work with me, huh? Until tomorrow when you'll definitely want to stab me in the back.
So great.
Okay.
So great.
Yeah. Jam reads it perfectly.
So great.
Who is it that puts Kane? I think is it Jamie Lynn who tells Kane that he's kind of his name
Carson.
It's Carson who tells him because Carson likes Kane. Yeah. They're got the nerd alliance going on. Perhaps Matt B could be part of this nerd alliance.
The nerd herd.
The nerd herd. Yeah, not Jam. Again, I thought a lot of this scrambling was very uninteresting to me. Going into this tribal, Kane was not thrilled. Carson said my name came up at the picnic. Brandon, is that true? Yeah, it's true. Brandon says.
If you're Brandon, you have to. Yeah.
Is that true? Oh yeah. Is that not true? Yeah. Oh yeah, it's true. Kane doesn't like it. They don't trust him. There's just. I don't know. I didn't find this part too exciting, but maybe I was not thinking about it right because, like you said, like the episode kind of for me it dragged a little bit here, and then we ultimately get to.
It's like what show are we on? Yeah, it is. It just felt like okay. Let's fast forward to like the actual tribal because this seems absolutely useless.
It was, and they've been doing this for 40 seasons now. Who's it going to be? We have to kind of set up who's going to go, but we don't want to make it super obvious, so we don't want you to change the channel and go to something else. So we have to kind of keep this going. But I was like, can you just get on with the vote already? Like that's how I was feeling.
I don't blame you. I feel what you're talking about. It felt kind of like that.
Like, Jeff trying to ask these questions. I thought like it was, I think also just because Carolyn has been so quiet this episode and Carolyn at Tribal and in her confessionals, I'm just like, man, the show's not as good when Carolyn's not talking. It
isn't.
It just
she is an enjoyable part of the show.
Right. I feel like I see the game through her eyes a lot of the time. And so when she's like taking a back seat in the story, and we're getting more Jamie Lynn or more Heidi or whatever. I'm just like, okay, but
who's this nerd?
Yeah, exactly. Where's my Carolyn? The tribal, a lot of discussions. What do you guys think of the merge buff with the Bret Hart colors?
I'll have to see it. I don't know if I'm gonna. I didn't get a buff from last season, so. I think I might wait till 45.
Yeah, it's just different with it being black with pink highlights. That's a bit of a new design. So hate it. Do you have an opinion on the buffs, Foster?
Subpar.
Sub. Oh, okay.
Because at least it stands out.
So.
But it's below par.
You're saying it's subpar, so that's not good enough. That's not even meeting the minimum.
Subpar, yeah. Well, yeah, it's not.
Subpar is bad.
Okay, well it's par. Let's go par.
It's par.
It's like you guys gonna pressure me. Okay,
it checks one. It checks one box.
It checks one box. Okay. What else do we got here, guys?
Although I might want to get the buff from Carolyn's season.
Yeah, I might. Yeah, if that's up for auction. Carolyn says I'll
just straight up buy the buff. I don't need to get the auction buff.
No.
Yeah, it's like 44.
I don't think anybody said anything in this tribal that was like wow,
anything interesting.
The only other thing, I think the thing we keep forgetting about sometimes is that Matt B doesn't have a vote, and he's just happy for a super majority. Does that expire now? That like he'll have his vote back?
He finally had a tribal, so he'll have
gets his vote back, right?
Yeah,
there he is.
That's brutal. That you can go like so long without having your vote.
Yeah, even though he didn't need it technically, but you know, it's like the fact that he was able to kind of survive in this without it, kind of incredible. Okay, ultimately, we see Josh is the one voted out here, and he was devastated, guys.
Okay, bye. Okay, bye.
Yeah, I don't even know if I got his torch being snuffed. Let's
I
just look
didn't
ahead.
care.
Let's just look ahead to the next episode and see if there's anything worth going through here. So we see that they're looking for some kind of an advantage. Kane was talking about Dungeons and Dragons or something. We see, the whole
them being
Franny and
close
Matt thing,
together.
and then that's Lauren, right? Lauren's just like, we have to.
That's fair.
Okay, so this is where I was interested to find out what your opinions are. The fact that people can get eliminated without the tribe having a say in thoughts.
So what is that? Yeah, like they say that in the preview, so you could potentially like take a risk and get yourself out of the game, you know, without being voted out of the game. Is that what they're saying?
Isn't it like didn't they have a challenge where if you were the first person eliminated, you would automatically have a vote striked against you or something like that?
Maybe, yeah. I think like they did something like that last season, where if you were the first one out of the challenge,
Yeah,
you were definitely eligible to be voted out, maybe, or something
or
like
something
that.
like it was something along those lines. So people did not want to get like people were trying hard, especially at the very beginning,
Right.
just so
Yeah.
that they weren't the first person.
Yeah, because whatever it was, the first person out was going to be more vulnerable. So yeah, like that could be it.
I think they did it 2 seasons in a row because the previous season they announced it and then the guy immediately falls. I think it was an endurance. He immediately falls and he's like, "Well, great." I think you get like a vote against you automatically.
Right. Yeah, and I don't know. We saw there's some strange reactions there. Who knows if it's in context? And then Josh's little goodbye message here, guys, where he says, "I'm devastated. I thought I was making the merge."
You were so close.
The votes ultimately ended up being. Just want to quickly.
So because he didn't make it to the merge or the jury, he goes home, right?
Right. He doesn't even. Yeah, he's just done.
Yeah.
So the people who voted for Josh,
he spends a little time in Ponderosa and then he's gone.
Yeah, Carson, Danny, Franny, Heidi, and Jamie Yam Yam were the ones for Josh. Guys,
No problem. You got an emergency call. So, how are you feeling? We've now passed the halfway point of the season. Foster, how do you feel about this season so far?
I think that it's like I didn't get to see last season's first half, but I heard it wasn't great. I like to think that this season's better than last season, even though I haven't seen it, in the sense that we've had not only encouragement from the a few characters that have kind of made it to the merge. Like I do think that there is value in characters outside of Carolyn and Jam Jam to be. Like, I do think there is value in Danny, because he does put effort into it, right? Like you see other people like Matt and Franny, right? Like they're doing the showmance, right? But it's part of the game, right? Like at least you're seeing participation in that sense, right? I don't like to see like the death stare by Lauren. Like you just like Lauren just always just looks at people and doesn't like communicate. Like
everyone's like, "Who is she?" It's
I know.
There's been 6 episodes, dude. The fact that we don't know you is not a good thing.
Yeah, and well, it's Lauren is that one. No, the other one is Heidi, right? We just forgot her name, but it was no, like overall, like I said earlier, like I was sweating when Kane's name was brought up because he's my pick, my boy, he's my Canadian brother. But it's overall, I liked the challenge. The paranoia was too much, and like the indecisiveness by everyone was just too much. Like there should have been more like concrete, like confidence in most people. But it was above par.
You got to realize that there's a group, an entire tribe, where they have not really done tribal as much as the other ones. So they're going to be very indecisive. This is the first time they're having an opportunity to prove their loyalty. So whenever that happens, there's a little bit of unease that occurs. So I think that's what we mostly saw in terms of why people were flip-flopping so much.
Guys, should we have like a quick update on our draft?
Sure, my people are still here, so I got no problem with that.
Yeah.
yeah.
So, well, yeah, of course. Team Jaemeel or Samuel for life. Matt B and Lauren both made the merge there, and could be all right. Jeff still has Jamie Lynn. Jan, of course, is gone. Daryl still has Danny and Brandon, who were kind of quiet in this episode, especially Danny. So we'll see. They were broing out last time, and Carolyn was coming for them, but I guess that didn't happen because at least Brandon was safe this week, and there was no talk of trying to get Danny out here. Sean has Jam. Amanda's gone. Foster, you still have Kane and Carolyn, so you're looking all right. I am officially done here now. Well, no, I have Carson still, but
Carson.
But I don't know. We'll see. Josh is done. And then Jean has Franny and Heidi, which I think is not that bad of picks. I think
watch Franny win, and people just complain about this season. It's like, why didn't you focus it on Franny more? And it's like Franny had a showman's the first half of the season that was very important, so that's what we focused on.
I think imagine Heidi wins this season. Everyone's going, who the hell is Heidi? Is she on this show? Because I feel like Heidi in particular, and I think Lauren also have just been sort of invisible.
I'm like, did I pick her? Oh, yes, I did. Okay.
Well, yeah, you were given her because you had the first pick, so she was she was not picked at all.
Just imagine Matt is the first pick in the season.
Matt B. If you could do it again, would you have taken him first?
The principle of the matter was more important to me than anything. So yes, I would definitely take him.
I regret taking Josh with my first pick. I think Carson ended up, and this seems to be my pattern, is that my if I have two picks, my earlier pick tends to fizzle out, and my second pick tends to go a little further in the game. Even though I'm trying to pick somebody who I think will go far from the beginning, I just you can't always.
There's just too much. Look, he has a strong resume that it's hard to ignore that with your gut. That's the tough.
Yeah, I was looking at Josh. I'm like, oh yeah, he's a doctor. He's he looks like he's in shape and all these other things. But but his personality just that's the one thing that's the hardest thing to get a gauge on these people in the preseason. What they're really going to be like. Because sure, I can know what their pet peeves are and what their favorite food is or whatever, but that's not going to really tell me anything about how they're going to play.
Exactly.
I guess I would have taken Carolyn. Carolyn went fairly late in this. Taken by Foster right after I took Carson. But if I can do it again, I definitely would have taken her with my pick. So, all right, guys. Well, I think we've said all we can about this. I
think we did too.
Survivor with a capital S. I'm just looking ahead if the title for next week's episode has been put out. Yes, it has. The next episode is called, guys, Let's Not Be Cute About It.
Yeah, don't be cute. Don't be cute.
We're not going to be cute about it next week, guys. Whatever the opposite of cute is, that's what we're going to be. And that's what Survivor's going to be.
Push the cards in, go all in. The chips in, go all in.
I feel like that. Who's going to say that line, Foster? Let's not be cute about it.
Matt.
Matt B again.
Matt B. I think it's going to be Carolyn who says that.
Let's not be cute about it.
Let's not be cute about it. I could, or maybe Jam. I could maybe see doing that too.
Oh, I was referring to like the couple, him talking about them as a couple.
Let's not be cute about it. Let's not be cute about. Oh, maybe Franny will say it then. If you're right about that. Depends what the context of it is. But I feel like they're talking about a move. Or maybe hedging their bets with multiple votes or multiple people who get votes against them. We'll see. Okay, guys. So this was episode 6. Next week's episode 7. We probably have about 5 episodes left. So that's exciting. If you didn't know, we're also covering Big Brother season 44, which is right now, guys. They're having Big Brother Canada 11. They're having, what's it called? A whodunit week. How do you say that? How do you say that, Jonathan?
Welcome to Whodunit week.
Come out wherever you are.
Let's play.
Creepy all.
So stupid over the top. It's great.
Yeah, so Big Brother Canada 11 will be back tomorrow night to talk about the week 5 eviction, which is an invisible HOH week, invisible POV. I think we were already getting some spoilers from Sam in the comments, but I try not to dwell on those as we kind of talked about that last night. So check out our Big Brother Canada 11 coverage on Tuesdays and Thursdays as well. Plus all of our other great content here on the channel, past podcasts, including the Mary Meter Marvel Society, where we talk about the MCU things like, Ant-Man and the Wasp. In the near future, we're going to be talking about Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is our next podcast that we're going to be doing over there. So please check those things out. We're really proud of them. And we're part of a greater federation of podcasts, which features all kinds of amazing shows with all kinds of things. If you're maybe not into Big Brother Canada, but you're into The Simpsons, we talk about The Simpsons on our Simpsons podcast, KBBBL, every Friday with Davan and Francis and Baker. Talk about those episodes. Davan also has Hold Up along with Murphy every second Wednesday, where they talk about 3 movies and a different theme. The next ones are like hacker movies, including the movie Hackers, the Net, and some other things.
Guns Akimbo.
Yeah. Davan also has got the X-Rated podcast every Tuesday with his buddy Andre. Talk about X-Men, the animated series, and those episodes. Andre has the Graphic History podcast. That's his own independent podcast where he does like long format audio interviews with different people from film, TV, comic books, and other interesting folk. The Hellbound podcast on Wednesdays with Alex Blackburn and Michael Chan, where they talk about horror movies, but also they do all kinds of fun horror related things over there. You should definitely check that one out. Trivial Debates, which is our once a month show where we have a contestant, a judge and 3 contestants on a different theme. Most recently, it was Chris Murphy hosting a wrestling themed episode with Jaemeel and Jason and Andre competing back on Saturday, April 1st. Go back and listen to that if whether you like wrestling or not. They were some interesting discussions. We have our Live Long and Podcast channel, a Star Trek theme channel where we talk about Star Trek all the time, Enterprise, Deep Space Nine, our ongoing series. And tomorrow we'll be talking about Star Trek Picard, the newest episode 8. It's called Surrender. I'll be on with the crew to talk about that. While these guys will be talking about Big Brother Canada 11. And we have other great stuff over there, including like Star Trek Radio Theater shows and the Locutors of Trek, and our science division, which does like all kinds of fun games like trivias and debates and different things like that. So you should definitely check those great things out. And coming out now soon, and very soon, we're doing music with Eamon on Track. My son, Eamon Mader, starting his own music podcast where he'll be reviewing musical albums. So all kinds of great content under the United Federation of Podcasts. And on that note, I think we need to sign off for the night. Guys, I'm feeling like we need some Carolyn. Let's go out here with a Carolyn clip, and we will see you all next time. Thanks, Foster. Thanks, Jaemeel. And you guys have a great night.
I know, though. I gotta do what's best for my game. Which would probably be Josh. Ah!